no more either or. You want to build diversity across all 5 dimensions. You want to launch with temporary flexible cost caps. You want to refresh non-spending ad sets every 7 to 10 days. Eliminate the testing versus scaling split. Run everything broad, and then keep financial outcomes consistent. Struggling with meta ads? You're definitely not alone. The algorithm has fundamentally changed here in 2025, and the old playbook is dead. You need a new structure. And today, what I'm going to be sharing is not theory. These are real results for managing millions in ad spend. And so in the next 15 minutes, I'm going to reveal our exact 9-part framework, including the creative strategy and targeting approach that's winning right now. So let's dive in. First up, we need to stop arguing around creative volume versus diversity. It's going to be the mix of both, volume plus diversity. And here's how to exactly maximize your creative diversity. In your ad account, if you're working with a 1,000 ad limit, you need to structure your account with 20 ad sets containing 50 creatives each. And if you have 2,500 ads, you need to break down that math by 50 ad sets with 50 creatives each. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking 50 creatives per ad set. That's insane. Well, the reality is every creative is another at bat, especially with proper cost controls in place. If you're familiar with this channel or you've stumbled upon this video, cost controls allow us and allow Meta, more importantly, that your losing ads will get suppressed spend and it'll amplify your winners. They're going to scale naturally. So the old debate about whether to is it creative diversity or is it creative volume? It's silly. You need both. And you need high variety and at massive scale to fully leverage Meta's algorithm in 2025. So you either embrace both or you watch your competitors outpace you. And let me be clear about campaign structure. If you're working with a 1,000 ad limit, what I would recommend is you either run one ASC campaign with 20 ad sets and 50 creatives each, or you run maybe 4 ASC campaigns each with 5 ad sets and 50 creatives. Both of these are being slowly rolled out as I record this video. So at certain times, maybe in this video, you might not even actually have multiple ad sets within ASC or non-ASC campaigns, but you want to test both approaches. Again, you want to consolidate campaigns down to a per SKU per offer level because cost controls work on predictable AOV. So let's get specific about creative diversity and what that actually means. It's not just changing the headline or swapping out colors or swapping out the SKU, same backgrounds, switching out the text overlay, all these different things. That's how most people think of diversity, or switching up iterations, right? You want to think about it in 5 different ways. 1, formats. 2, angles. 3, personas. 4, styles. And 5, context. So again, this isn't about incremental tweaks. It's about building a creative engine that produces genuine diversity across all these dimensions. Now, you might be wondering, if I have different audience segments, shouldn't I put them in separate ad sets? Right? Like yoga mom ad set, for example. I would say absolutely not. So we would want to keep all creatives in the same ad set regardless of which persona they're aimed at, right? Why? Because Meta's algorithm is better than we are at mapping out which creative resonates with which audience. They have trillions of data points. We don't. And so the moment you split creatives into separate ad sets based on who you think they're for, you shrink the signal pool, slow learning, and you risk under delivery. Now, launching new creatives requires a specific approach. Meta heavily favors existing ads with social proof, conversion data, historical signals. That's just the reality. So I would recommend, like when you launch new creative, temporarily loosen your bids with flexible cost caps. So give those cost caps in a higher cost control than ones that are in your existing campaigns. Allow them to breathe, gather some initial data, and then normalize. So another critical practice here is you want to basically refresh your non-spending ad sets every 7 to 10 days. You want to constantly preserve optimization, which should be your North Star. So if certain ad sets aren't spending against your cost control, you want to remove all those ads and immediately insert the same amount of new diverse creatives. And stop splitting your account into testing versus scaling ad sets. I don't need to go long-winded about this. You can stumble across other videos of mine that talked about this, but that approach is killing your performance. 2 scenarios: you duplicate the high-performing ad into a separate scaling ad set or campaign. You're resetting learning and destroying momentum. Instead, you want to let the ad scale exactly where it was born. Don't touch it. Ride the wave. Ride the momentum. Meta is going to reward stability, and so you want to preserve that at all costs. Now, let's talk targeting. Run every ad set broad. Always. No lookalikes, no interest, no segments. Creative is the targeting. Creative is the new targeting. That's what was, kind of a catchphrase a couple of years ago. It's literally the truth. We want to trust Meta's algorithm to match your ads to the right people. That the system is sophisticated enough and more sophisticated than you that broad targeting is consistently outperforming segmentation. And it sounds counterintuitive, especially if you're working in a challenging vertical like furniture or cookware, longer consideration cycles, right? Higher AOVs. But in my experience, the limiting factor is rarely the algorithm. It's usually number 1, creative. And so when we feed campaigns with truly diverse creatives that align with different stages of the customer journey or speak to different audiences, the performance unlocks even different verticals. So if we want to go after yoga moms, for example, we need to get creative with yoga moms in them, and Meta is sophisticated enough to do that. And like I said, every ad set, again, must share the same financial outcome. Your financial metrics need to be consistent across ad sets to ensure they optimize precisely for your target CM or contribution margin, which makes cost controls even more meaningful, accurate, effective, and make sure that they're following basically AOV minus your cost of delivery. That's what gets you your contribution margin. So, like I said, big fans of cost controls. We're never using lowest costs, and because it removes our ability to control efficiency, and we want to solve for spend. And the way that number one, that we do that is through creative. And when we do this on a hybrid model, it just doesn't work either. So that's why 100% of the accounts at Kinship is going to be through cost controls. So the current ASC plus Andromeda system handles high creative volume effortlessly. It's going to reward deep creative diversity, and it's going to optimize faster at greater scale than anything we've ever seen before. So you want to structure your ad accounts to leverage how Meta is actually working today and towards the future, which is eliminating a lot of human decision-making, lean into us, spend more money with us, but you, the ones, are going to know what the financial beneficial return that you're looking for. And that's exactly why we are big fans of cost controls. Quick note on budget strategy, actually. You always want to run cost controls with inflated budgets. And this is going to give Meta the room, the freedom to flex up and down when the auction dynamics vary day by day. And it'll automatically do that for you. You don't have to manually budget or adjust the budget when the time is needed. All right, so let's recap the shifts you need to implement now. Number one, maximize creative capacity, 50 creatives per ad set. Combine creative diversity with volume, no more either or. You want to build diversity across all 5 dimensions. You want to launch with temporary flexible cost caps. You want to refresh non-spending ad sets every 7 to 10 days. Eliminate the testing versus scaling split. Run everything broad, and then keep financial outcomes consistent. So that means structuring for today's algorithm, not yesterday's. So if you implement just one thing from today's episode, focus on creative diversity. Start building those production pipelines immediately. The transition might feel uncomfortable at first, but the more creative, less targeting control, the performance will speak for itself. A quick Q&A section before we wrap up. A couple questions that have come in through my DMs or just through comments or from watching other videos. What about creative production costs? Isn't it expensive to produce hundreds of ads? I will say this is a valid concern. Historically, creative production has been a real constraint, right? Like the cost to produce an ad is heading towards zero fast though, thanks to AI. And so while today's AI creative tools still have limitations, the direction is pretty much clear, right? Automated ad creation at scale is becoming more accessible by the day. But there's things like influencer seeding. All it costs you is the cost of your brand and time. But these tools are very cost effective. UGC creators are still very cost effective. The things that are still going to charge you an arm and a leg, like our production, studio shoots, all these different things. But there is a lot of ways that you can get content at scale while keeping costs down. Question number 2, do you ever use cost caps and target ROAS or minimum ROAS in the same ad account? Absolutely. We use both within ad accounts. We launch the same piece of content across both cost cap and target ROAS campaigns simultaneously. We've actually observed minimal audience overlap. So testing both and utilizing both can be effective. Most of the time, we're not using minimum ROAS or target ROAS unless there's a lot of variability in AOV with a lot of different SKUs and there's not a clear customer journey. Question number 3, how are you setting your budgets and caps? So easiest way I can answer this is if my in-ad account CPA target is $100 and that aligns with my new customer ROAS or MER goal, I'll set my cost controls right at 100. But if my $100 is my blended CAC target, then I'd run an incrementality test to figure out what in-platform CPA actually levels up to that $100 true incremental CPA. And that clarity is going to provide everything. So those were some of the questions quickly that come from a lot of this when we talk about our new structure. You'll see future videos on exactly how to go about building out creative pipelines. Until then, I'm Cody Wittick. Please subscribe to this video and to this channel. I appreciate any and all comments and questions. I will get back to you as soon as I can on this episode. So hit that subscribe button, leave us a rating. It helps more marketers discover these insights, and see you next time.